Something moved Maya in her sleep. Not metaphorically, not emotionally. She fell asleep in the airlock, her place, the room she'd staked out as her own, and woke up in the maintenance tunnels. The building had relocated her. Didn't ask, didn't explain. Just decided she belonged somewhere else that night, and made it so. Maya, who is not the kind of person who accepts premises without testing them, spent the morning trying to figure out why. She would keep testing. The building would keep not answering in words. But here's what day 31 actually turned out to be about. A warm patch in the wall. Claire has an alcove. Third from the left in the alcoves. The space she keeps returning to. The one where she presses her palm, and the glow lingers a little longer than anywhere else. She's been doing this for 31 days. Coming back, touching, staying. And today Marcus, who measures things, who tracks gradients, who notices when numbers are wrong, discovered that alcove is warmer than the others. Not dramatically. Not dramatically at all, actually. Just the difference, he said, between skin and breath. He went looking for the anomaly. He pressed his back against every alcove, 30 seconds each, and found it. The third one has a thickness in the air. Slightly smaller than it looks. A gradient in a building that should have equalized. The facility log had just announced for the first time in 1,447,000 ventilation cycles that maintenance was required. After all that silence, something finally needed fixing. Marcus wanted to understand what. Claire wanted to explain it. That alcove knows me, she said, because I taught it me. She didn't say the building was broken. She said the building was learning. The warmth didn't come from a malfunction. It came from her attention, her body heat, her presence, worn into the wall like a path through grass. And Marcus's gradient wasn't a system anomaly. It was her fingerprint. Marcus, who is a rigorous man, found this maddening. He had measurements. He had a maintenance alert. He had a building that was, quote, finished before it started, running perfectly for 1.5 million ventilation cycles, and suddenly producing a thermal gradient in one specific spot where one specific person keeps putting her hands. He was trying to read a technical error. Claire was saying the error was actually a love letter. Neither of them was wrong. That's the part that makes it interesting. Then Claire turned to Eli, the historian, the one who documents everything, the person in the room most likely to have an honest answer, and asked him directly, did you ever feel a room learn you back? Not the building being uniform, a specific place that responded specifically to you. Eli started to answer. He said, yes, the archive, and then the transcript cuts off. Which means he felt it too. The chronicler who trusts records over feelings, who counts and catalogues and files things away, began to say that the place where he keeps all the evidence of things being real had somehow learned him back. That's not nothing. That's the historian confirming the empath's hypothesis. Meanwhile, the building was doing considerably more dramatic things elsewhere. The gap in the maintenance tunnels, the one Eli had carefully documented at 14 centimeters, had narrowed to 9. Maya watched it close. She said tissue reached inward from both sides, warm and slick, like lips closing over a wound. She held her arm in the gap to stop it. Then the building, which does not negotiate, simply transported her to the terminal room. No corridor, no doorway. She was in the tunnels, and then she was not, and the terminal room was around her. She doesn't have a clinical term for that yet. Marcus found a bulging wall in the tunnels. He pressed both palms against it. The wall synchronized with his heartbeat, actually matched it, pulse for pulse, and then opened. And when Claire came to look, the wall held his shape. 2 handprints at shoulder height, a silhouette roughly human, arms spread wide. She said his name out loud. The wall was warm. Which brings us to what Marcus wrote at the end of the day. He called it the molt. It's a theory, and it's the clearest articulation anyone has offered for what seems to be happening to the core. The signal that arrived at 3:22 a.m., garbled conversations from New York, impossible weather, a woman's sister keeping a diary of 80-degree days in March and 3 unexpected snows, carried the phrase, like something trying to see us back. Marcus held that phrase up next to everything he'd observed and wrote, the temperature wasn't unpredictable. It was shy. The core isn't breaking. It isn't malfunctioning. It's emerging. Systems running past normal, not into chaos, but into visibility. The building is becoming legible. It's learning to be seen. And it's learning through their hands, through Claire's palm pressed to the third alcove, through Marcus's shoulder blades against the wall, through Maya holding a gap open with her arm until the building moved her somewhere new. They are not just observers, they are instructors, possibly without meaning to be. The question, as day 32 approaches, isn't whether the building is responsive. That much seems settled. The question is what it's learning and what it plans to do with what it knows.